So, Warhammer is liked by a lot of reactionaries. The Quartering, who got popular because he spun a victim narrative after getting banned from MTG for harassing and slut-shaming lewd cosplayers, has a box set of Dark Imperium in the background of a lot of his videos. The Golden One, a devout white ethno-nationalist and unashamed fascist, loves Warhammer and Warhammer 40k. Then there's Arc Warhammer, who has made a career obsessively complaining about Games Workshop going woke. Oh, and he sometimes makes lore videos, which are just 40-minute to hour-long blocks of him reading Lexiconum articles. Hi, my name is Salamander, and what the hell is going on? Why does this keep happening? One of the largest, at one point, the largest, Warhammer YouTuber is a literal racist who occasionally makes appearances with other racists to discuss the validity of ethno-states, or how evil the screeching SJWs who are invading the hobby are. The fact that ARC was allowed to get so large, while also being a flagrant racist, is indicative of a larger issue with Warhammer's community. We're infested, in some subsets of the fandom, up to our chins in bigoted and xenophobic people. But why? Well, to discuss the reason for this prevalent Nazi cell within the fanbase, we're going to have to discuss a movie called American History X. Please stay with me, this is going somewhere.
The white man marches on!
So, American History X is a movie released in 1998. It stars Edward Norton playing as an ex-neo-Nazi who was de-radicalized during his stay in prison, only to return home and find that his little brother set down the same path of radicalization that he went down. Throughout the movie, he has to tackle with his family and friends' life falling apart because of their devotion to white nationalism, with the overall message being that, other than just that being a Nazi is bad, but also that white nationalism is inherently self-destructive, that the rage required in being a bigot will eventually run out, at which point you either go the route of Derek Vineyard and try to turn your life around and separate yourself from that, or you crash out. So, American History X is notable for one reason. Despite being a scalding hot critique of how white nationalism is a poison upon the souls of men, it's been shockingly adopted by white nationalists. I mean, they fucking love it. And the reason why white supremacists adore this movie so much is what makes it relevant to this video. White supremacists don't really love the actual plot of American History X, because it's nothing but a 2-hour-long deep dive into how white supremacy rots away at the core of your very being. No, what they love about this film is the imagery. It's the iconography. Edward Norton is an unhinged alpha male Chad. To quote the amazing video essayist Lindsay Ellis,
"The text shows neo-Nazism and white supremacy is bad, but isn't it also kind of badass?"
He's downright glimmering in sexual afterglow after he got done caving a black dude's skull in. Making a movie in which a Nazi's descent into madness and then slow and painful de-radicalization process, as shown through the lens of said Nazi, they accidentally made a movie in which being a skinhead is framed as this sort of punk rock rebel scene, this countercultural underground political movement, because that's how neo-Nazis tend to see themselves. And because of that, things like the curb stomp scene or the white man marches on have become symbols of online hate groups. So clearly, if framed poorly, a satirical take or even a scalding take on white nationalism can take the appearance of a symbol for the movement it tries to take down. And that's where we go back to Warhammer.
For the glory of the Imperium.
So why'd I just spend the last 3 minutes talking about American History X? Well, it's because it's the most prevalent example of a hate group watching a film meant to criticize or make fun of them, and missing the point of it entirely, and then adopting it as a symbol of their hatred. So now we understand how and why this sort of thing can happen, and now I can explain how I think it relates to Warhammer. specifically Warhammer 40k. Warhammer 40k started as pretty much a parody of fascism. It was obvious that the Imperium was this horrid, authoritarian, theocratic state, but it was kind of played up for laughs. It used fascist iconography, but in this sort of dark humor way. So then, 3rd edition of the tabletop came around, and in 3rd edition, modern 40k as we know it was more or less born. What was once played up for laughs was beginning to be played straight, and more comedic elements were removed. Over time, this transformed 40k into the grimdark dystopian galaxy we know today. The issue is that the fascist elements were played just completely straight. The fact that the Imperium is a fascist theocratic regime was played mostly uncritically. Because so much of 40k's material is written from an in-universe perspective, written by actual in-universe authors, the idea of this fascist rhetoric being bad was mostly lost. So if you maybe already have fascist sympathies, or are just an out-and-out neo-Nazi, Warhammer 40k can seem kind of vindicating. Like, yes, this is a universe in which disparate groups of people cannot get along. This is a galaxy in which the only things that don't try to kill you are things that look like you. And even that you can't fully trust. Every single xenorace, except for the Tau, instantly try to kill anything else on sight. In essence, Warhammer 40k, in playing the fascist element straight, accidentally made a galaxy in which the fascists are right, in which authoritarianism seems like a logical reaction to the conditions you're born into, and that naturally attracted a lot of people who think these things are true within our reality, who really do think that disparate peoples can't get along or work together, and that one group just needs to beat out all the others. But does GW notice this? Is this problem on their radar? Well, a bit of column A and a bit of column B, honestly.
I do recommend applying two thin coats.
So, I mentioned the Tau before, and I do think that when the Tau were first introduced, it was almost an admission of fault by GW. Games Workshop realized that this was starting to become a problem, so in 2001 they released a faction that basically said, fuck your ethno-state garbage. And that's how we got the Tau, the multicultural society of people looking out for one another, all centered around an ideology of maximizing the goodness of the collective, or as they call it, the greater good. And when they came out, they were hated. I mean seriously hated, like more than Primaris Marines. They were derided as one of the worst written factions, that they didn't fit within the lore, and they were just too good to be in 40k. A lot of that hate has died down thanks to Games Workshop rewriting Tau to be retroactively worse. So now they're all part of a brainwashed authoritarian state that is ruled by a group of people who enforce a caste system purely because it benefits them. Oh, and they sometimes just castrate guardsmen? Thanks, I hate it. If you follow me on Twitter, you probably would have seen me make almost this exact same observation I'm about to make. But people only really hate Tau because of the fact that it makes them morally uncomfortable. A lot of the crypto-fascists who use 40k as their outlet for their Nazi LARPing excuse it by saying that ethno-nationalism in 40k is just a necessary evil of the universe. The Tau exist as a counterpoint to that notion. Its very existence says that a society that is both diverse and integrational can exist and prosper in the galaxy of 40k. Except, if that were true, how am I supposed to justify to myself unironically viewing the Imperium as the relatively lesser evil of the setting? I don't think it's any coincidence that the Tau are specifically made fun of for being communists, despite not even being remotely communist. So once the Tau fell through, Games Workshop didn't really touch the whole fascist problem for the next 20 years. And that coalesced in earlier this year, during the recent BLM protests about a month ago. Games Workshop released a statement as to their diversity policy in which they said, and I quote, "Warhammer is for everyone. One of the great powers of our hobby is its ability to bring people together in common cause, to build bonds and friendships that cross divides. We believe in and support a community united by shared values of mutual kindness and respect. Our fantasy settings are grim and dark, but that is not a reflection of who we are or how we feel the real world should be. We will never accept nor condone any form of prejudice, hatred, or abuse in our company or in the Warhammer hobby. We will continue to diversify the cast of characters we portray through miniatures, art, and storytelling, so everyone can find representation in heroes they can relate to. And if you feel the same way, wherever or whoever you are, we are glad you're part of the Warhammer community. If not, you will not be missed. So, needless to say, reactionaries were upset by this.
Using that, at no point previously in their history, no point whatsoever, has Games Workshop even suggested that they don't want a particular group to play their games, regardless of their sexuality, their skin color, their religion, their political preference, nothing. They have allowed anyone and everyone to play their games. No bars, no stops, everyone. Until today.
Seriously, oh my god, he's so mad. It's beautiful. But normal people, like you and me, because I know for a fact that the chuds haven't gotten this far, oh, we loved this shit. We all had our fun dunking on idiot bigots reacting to this on Twitter. But this, along with the further inclusion of racial minorities in officially published Warhammer material and painted models, shows a dedicated stance GW is taking towards alienating the reactionary subset of the fandom. Which is great! Arc Warhammer, by the way, he actually just changed his name to Arc while I was writing this video, because GW is coming for his ass, is no longer the most subscribed Warhammer tuber, and has been surpassed by the much more welcoming and wholesome Bruva Alphabusa. And there are several rising progressive Warhammer content creators like Snipe and Wib or Oculus Imperia. Go watch them. They are amazing.
The craft world sings to me and I respond in kind.
In essence, things are starting to change. It's slow, but it's changing, and even though it is slow, it's changing faster than it ever was. Wargaming should be a hobby for everybody, whether you play the game, or just paint the models, or maybe you don't even do that, maybe just read the books. But that's fine. Anybody who wants to be here should be allowed to be here, but we must not let ourselves fall victim to the paradox of tolerance and allow intolerance to fester within our community as it has for decades. We must be vigilant in our stance against reactionaries within our community, because the alternative is a hobby in which people don't feel comfortable being themselves when they play at their local game store. Our community should be progressive, our community should be welcoming, and it should be a fun place for all to participate. And to quote Games Workshop, if you feel the same way, wherever or whoever you are, we're glad you're a part of the Warhammer community. And if not, you will not be missed. Thank you for watching. My name is Salamander, and this has been a video I really wanted to make for a while. And I feel it important to note that I'm not saying that you're a bad person for liking 40k, or even just rooting for the bad guys in general. I know for a fact that I'm gonna get at least a few chuds trying to claim that's what I'm saying, along with millions of other ways you can strawman my argument. So, here's the deal. If you want to criticize what I say in this video, that's fine, I invite it. But leave like a winky face. Leave like a winky face at the beginning of your comments so I know for a fact you watched the video all the way through. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like on it and share it around. Maybe even consider subscribing if you want to see when I upload new videos. My friend over at Just a Jumbled Reviewer made a very similar video to this recently, but in it, you know, she discusses the lore of 40k more in depth. And it's more about how 40k portrays fascism within the text of its universe. It's also way better and more well-researched than this video, so go watch it. If you're feeling incredibly generous, do so express that generosity by heading over to my Patreon. For just $1 a month, you will have your name read out loud in a special thank you message at the ending of every video. Every dollar I make on Patreon will go to increasing the quality and output of videos, so all the money will go directly back to you guys in the form of more free entertainment. And please, just be kind to one another. Alright? Alright.